We are now live.
And we're back.
What's up, Instagram? How are you?
Round two.
Yeah, welcome back to another. My mic is not on, so I'm gonna work on that real quick. Yeah, no, I'm sure.
You're reading. We got a level.
Anyways, welcome back to European Watch Company's Horological Happy Hour. Thank you for joining us, Robert. You take it away here so I can get my mic going.
All right. We had such a great response to this last week, and we had so many people with good questions and questions we didn't get to that we were submitted. So we thought we would make sure we grab all of that stuff. So we've got some questions from last week lined up. We've got some questions from this week lined up, and we will be watching the chat looking for your questions. If you guys don't get an answer right away and the scroll kind of keeps moving, feel free to bump it in again.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to go off on tangents and talk a lot.
I do my best to yell at you and keep you on track.
My word quota is real high, so I can go off, especially if it's something I like.
Yeah.
So this is pretty easy. So let's grab the top down.
Well, wait, again, you always rush things.
Yeah, but we can open while they see that we have a table
we got to show off
of
here.
loveliness. We have a plethora of watches. We're going to be talking about some high-end Pateks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you out there.
We're not even on camera, but that's fine. It's all good.
We're going to be talking about some high-end Pateks, some middle-of-the-road Pateks. We've got some stuff. We got Cartier. We got chronographs.
We got some ladies' watches. We got a little bit of everything.
Day coming up, right? Yeah. We've got a little bit of everything here. So
lots of really
should be a good show.
And also, as always, if there's anything else that you guys want to see from our inventory, feel free to shoot us a message, jump in the chat and let us know, and we'll do our best to grab that as well. But like Rob said, we got a lot of good stuff here on the table, so we should have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, we've pushed some interesting stuff recently too, so keep an eye on the website because we have some
lots of
nice things,
good stuff
the
coming
site. Maybe
too.
Even later this evening.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we roll through some of the stuff that we missed from last week before we get to some of the newer stuff, if that works for you.
I love it.
I think, why don't we go with, we'll go first on the sheet. So Mariah 11950 asked, what is the best value in Patek Philippe right now? And we kind of, we Rob and I talked about it, and we were thinking, you can kind of look at this in two different ways. What is the cheapest Patek right now? Mm-hmm. And then kind of, more philosophically, what is the best buy, regardless of price point? You know what I mean?
I was actually going to say value is a difficult word.
Exactly.
Right? Because there's a lot that you can kind of talk about value in terms of, are you looking at the price versus the retail price?
Right.
Are you looking at the price versus the 2021 price?
Yeah. Well, and everything is a good buy at that point.
Pretty much. Are you looking at... There's just so many, I don't know, I feel like there's too many things to even begin to mention them. This is for Patek, right, that we're talking? Yeah. So I want to go with the first one that I thought of when this came up, and this I think we just listed. There we go. I'm trying to find my view here for where we set this up this week. This is the 5115 from Patek. This is a Calatrava that's probably 10 to 15 years old, somewhere in there. And this is, you can see the crown guards on this, pretty standard Calatrava case. Otherwise, we have a hobnail bezel. But the best part of all is we have an enamel dial on this watch. A baked enamel dial, old school, painted Roman numerals, leaf-shaped hands. 36 or 37 millimeters, something like that. And, I forgot to take my watch off in order to show you guys a wrist shot.
The right details here on this guy.
Here we go. I believe this is a 37 mil case, and this to me is the essence of Patek. The Calatrava is obviously a signature move from them. The Calatrava being the first watch where the lugs were integrated into the case and not soldered on afterwards. That mid case was a monoblock basically. Perfect size, perfect execution, enamel dial. For under $20,000.
Yeah, so we just listed this for $19,500, like Rob said, enamel dial, which regardless of what brand it's from, when you're getting an enamel dial, it is usually quite pricey. It's a huge premium because it is such a difficult material to work with, and it's so delicate.
Yeah.
You know, you get a ton of watch for your money with this particular piece. It's not to my style.
Well, because you have no taste. We've covered that.
Right. Well-established man of zero taste here. I don't know. It's just this to me looks very dated with that hobnail bezel.
Oh.
I mean, but so the thing is I love what Patek is doing with some of the new models, the
new
5326 with that hobnail in the case band
side, yeah.
instead of on the bezel as it was in these older
6119.
pieces.
They're bringing the hobnail back.
But you know
It's
what? I like
coming
that.
back.
I like that piece. But
Yeah.
whatever. So, but again, I'm just contradicting myself right from the jump here. But this piece, I think right now for value when it comes to Patek, this is probably the best option that we have if you're looking for bang for buck.
Yeah,
you know?
and if you're like, I can't go here, I can't go here yet, I'm not at that level. If you're like, you have a bunch of sport watches, maybe you have a Daytona, maybe you have stuff like that, and you're like, I want a nice, clean, respectable dress watch.
There it is.
There it is.
And again,
all day long.
so much more. You're getting so much more than it looks like you're getting with that enamel dial. So
standard 215 movement, manual wind, closed case back, so I didn't show that off, but you get the idea.
I think let's go to the other end of the spectrum now.
Yeah.
So like we said, there's many ways to think about, you know, value or best buys. And we've actually talked about.
Oh, boo, George, boo.
No, you're right. You're right, George. It does look like it's from 2003, but it looks like it could be from 1983.
Pateks are timeless.
Yeah,
Pateks
except this one. But
they are timeless.
So we've talked about the 5131 and the 5231 now multiple times in that this is an absolutely insane watch with a ridiculous amount of artistry that goes into creating this dial, this Grand View enamel dial with you know, the depiction of the globe for this world timer. And we have said it that we have tried to push the value on these watches for years because we think that they should be worth so much more than they are. Yeah, there you go, Boris. We're showing it off right now, buddy. You know, this is just a unbelievable piece with it's as much a piece of art as it is a piece of, you know, horological engineering. So, you know, this is available on our website right now for $99,300. MSRP on this, the old 5131 was around 70 or 80, I think.
I think it was 80 something.
80 something. I don't know what the 5231
I feel like
is.
by the time they got to the end of the run, it was like 88. Well, not the platinum. The platinum obviously was a different beast. But the last gold on the strap was like 88 or something. And the fact that these are that close to retail is ridiculous. Right. I'm sorry. This is the 5131. I think you said that.
I did, yeah.
So you have the crown guards, kind of like that 5015. So we have some continuity here of like beautiful curvaceous Patek cases. And, you know, I've said this before, but these are all unique and different. The dial colors on these will change depending upon the particular day that they made it and how the enamel baked and colorized and stuff, and it's incredible.
Well, we've talked about as well, you know, so there's a very, very small number of artisans who work for Patek who are capable of creating these dials, meaning that very few of these are produced every year. So, you know, it's not necessarily a limited piece, but just due to the nature of that dial and how difficult it is to produce, there are very few of them out there.
Their application.
Still,
the 5231 is application. Also, one quick point before we move on. So many people are like, oh, I hate the engraving on the top. It looks so garish. It's terrible. You can't even see it. I'm sorry. Like, don't fret about that. I prefer this to the new one because I love the clean look of the dial without the logo.
Yeah,
I think it's sick.
I didn't even
Caliber
think about that.
240 with the world time complication.
Yeah.
Monster watch. Monster watch.
Unbelievable piece.
No reason we should have that at under 100 grand.
No, and there's no reason that any of these should ever go for under 100 grand.
All
but
right.
again, ridiculous value. So why don't go ahead and
so let's
finish
move back
up
the other way and let's
Yes.
grab. You pulled this one, and I think you were right on with this. The reference 6000.
Yep.
And this is I recently learned from somebody on Instagram that this was based on is it a Ferrari? Like a Speedo off of a Ferrari?
I don't know if that's 100% accurate. So I know that Phil Toledano was talking about
That's who it was.
that this was based on a 50s Ferrari instrument panel, essentially.
The pictures he included were awfully convincing for me.
I know. I couldn't figure out if it was 100% accurate or if he was poking fun. I'm not sure. But regardless, this is such a interesting Patek that it really doesn't look like much else, in current production, or really anything else that they have produced over the years, for that matter.
It's an oddball, isn't it?
It's total. It's
everything
a total
from the
oddball.
shape of the case to the hands to the dial layout.
37 mil with those weird kind of like.
This is 37.
37, yeah. And like you said, those hands, just those white kind of stick hands. That
red half moon.
The red half moon date indicator. It's just, that offset running seconds. It's bizarre. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't look like a Patek to me,
Nope.
but I don't mean that in a bad way. This is a really interesting special piece.
Yes.
We're listing for $24,900, so more than the Calatrava we were speaking about earlier.
Right, but you're getting a lot more movement. This is the 240 automatic with a micro rotor,
Yep.
and you might notice that it is the same one in the world time we just looked at.
Except
Hello.
okay, right. I was going to say, except now we have a display back as opposed to on the 5119, which is nice.
Right, yeah, that one you don't get it because it's the lock stock standard manual.
Right.
But this movement is one of Patek's best movements that they've ever made.
Yep.
It's tremendously thin, so no matter what complication gets piled on top, it stays thin. This is what they use for their perpetuals, like the 3940, 5140,
5712. I mean, it's
5712, 5740, all the world times. And so it's a really good high-end movement.
I didn't even think about value from that perspective. When you think about the movement that you're getting and the pieces that Patek also uses that movement in, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You're getting the exact same movement as, like you just said, is in the world timers, in the 5712, in perpetuals. So
and Dan, our watchmaker, has talked about how it's like a Lego set. You take it apart, you put it back together, it works.
Right.
You don't have to finagle with stuff. It's not super touchy or anything like that. It's just a good movement. And to think about the number of Pateks with 240s that we've sold and how few of them ever come back for any kind of problem is tremendous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we should go here.
Do you want to go?
And then that would kind of segue us to, well, because this is both, in my opinion.
I think
this
you're right.
is both
a
good Patek value and a chronograph. It's almost like you thought about this when we were pulling watches.
It's almost like we've done this a few times.
Like there was forethought here. So one of the questions we got was simply chronographs. So
we'll talk about some chronos.
I mean, English and all, but it's not a question, it's a statement. But anyway, we brought chronos. So this is the 5960. This particular example is in white gold with the blue dial, which is a nice one. It's not my favorite one, but it's a nice one.
So I will say this is not my favorite either, but I think
your favorite is the steel.
Outside of the black steel dial on the bracelet, the 5961A, the very, very short production, I think from 2008 to 2009, this is my next favorite.
I knew you'd like the steel because you're a Philistine.
What is your favorite? The platinum that no one
likes? The platinum with the gray dial,
terrible.
The first series.
That is the worst one.
So
that
good.
Is the worst one.
It is so good.
My God.
So this is, in a white gold case, we have a chronograph with a flyback function. We have an annual calendar, and we have a power reserve, and it's automatic. So this was the first automatic chronograph that Patek ever made, and then they decided to not only stop there, but they added the annual calendar, and they added the flyback. A flyback means I can start this chrono, it'll run, and at any point, I can push this reset button, and it flies back and continues to run. And that would fly back the subsidiary hands down here, too, that give you your hour and your minute counter, which are coaxial.
I was going to say it's coaxial on that post
on that
as well,
same pivot there.
Super cool.
You get this lovely, I'm going to try and show it, concave bezel that kind of scoops up towards the crystal. You get the old school pump pushers, which I really love. The view in the back is pretty standard for an automatic chronograph. You're mostly looking at the automatic winding system, but it's Patek. It's great.
520, right, I believe.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
You get a calfskin strap with this, which is cool. It makes it a little more casual. For the level of complication, these are so undervalued. It's a nice size too. I think it's a 40. It's a little thick.
It is. So that's my one beef with the 5960 is it's slightly thick. This is 51.5 for the white gold with the blue dial. And like you said, for a Patek annual calendar chronograph, like that's a lot.
Well, to go to the perpetual calendar chrono, you're double.
Right.
You're $100K just to walk in the door.
Yeah.
And then if you want one of the rarer examples or one of the nicer metals like platinum or something, then you're way over.
Right.
So, and the platinum's the same price because people are silly.
Yeah, but the platinum gray is ugly. It is boring.
No,
this...
the platinum gray is just as good as the 6000.
No, it's
though.
totally different.
Because
totally
this
different.
is the white gold gray, and it's killer.
So, but
this is the best version of this watch.
You were wrong.
Is the white gold gray for the 6000?
Part of the reason why I love the white gold 5960 is it really does stand out from the other pieces, except
next to each other.
Jesus.
Look. Imagine this watch with a gray dial like this, and it still has the red and the. It's
no, it's
it's
whatever.
lovely.
Whatever. I don't even have anything to say to you.
All right, chronographs.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about the most overhyped, overpriced chronograph on the market. So do you want to start there?
I mean, things have changed a little bit. It's no longer.
It has changed.
It has changed quite a bit.
It has changed, but you're still paying.
I think
twice retail. What are we talking about?
Everybody know? I think we would be remiss not to talk if we're going to talk about chronographs and not talk about a Daytona. Like, come on. So we grabbed a Zenith Daytona. So this is a 16520. I can pull up the details on it. I'm not sure what year this one is, but I mean, yes, over the past several years, Daytonas, along with a few other, models that we all know, have gone from, nice pieces that people liked to just like the most hyped thing of all time. And,
there's been a lot of volatility with Daytonas. We've seen them go all the way up and come all the way down. For me, if I was buying one, this exactly as I'm holding in my hand is the Daytona.
Which is why I pulled that one, because we have every single variant you could ever imagine in stock at any given time, including today. And this is the one that I would go with. Black dial. It doesn't even have to be Zenith. Honestly, I would love to have a Zenith, but even if it was a 116520 and it just had, what is that, the 3185 or whatever, 4130, whatever it is. Even if it just had the Rolex movement, I'd be totally happy, and I would just wear it like, just beat the absolute ever-living shit out of it, and enjoy it and love it.
The old school steel bezels, I think, actually look good when they have some miles on them. They do. Like, I don't know. To me, this is it. If we're talking automatic modern Daytonas, this is what I would want.
Yeah.
And like, look at the color of the subdials. It's a little bright from the studio lights, but it's got like that bronzy yellowish kind of look to it. It's not a Patrizi. No. Obviously, those are a
but
beast
it gets a nice little bit of patina there.
But it's not the silver that you get from the modern Rolex one. So this would be my Daytona. But if I'm looking at a chronograph, this ultimately is not what I'm going to buy. So what is this? How much?
So this is $29,500, I think. Let me look. Hold on. We have that listed for, wait for it, $26,900 actually. $26,900. So what a buy.
So this is like the better part, getting real close to $30,000. So if I'm looking at the table, have we priced this?
Probably. What's the number on that? I can look it up right now for you.
51626. This is a chronograph.
That is, that's not 51626.
Are you sure?
Try again.
Oh, the tag is wrong.
Okay, I'll look it up. Hold on. I'll get back to you. Keep talking about that.
This is a chronograph. This is a Breguet. This is probably, 15 to 20 years old. And this is a manually wound dress chronograph with everybody's favorite chronograph movement. This uses the Lemania base caliber. That's the same watch, same movement that we find in like the Patek 5070, the Patek 5970. Vacheron used this caliber. I don't know if AP ever used it, but
you said 5070, right?
Yeah, 5070. Because when they got 5170, they went in-house.
Correct. So this is a 3237 Classique. So we have not priced this yet. This one is not quite available on the site yet. But
this is a stunner.
It's gorgeous.
I mean, this to me, and last week we talked about Breguet.
Yep.
And the value that Breguet offers, here it is, right here. Because this is nowhere near the price of a 5070. I don't know where we're going to offer this, but I can tell you that it is definitely not the 70 or 80 grand that you pay for a Breguet or for a 5070.
It'll be half of that. I mean, it's called the Classique. It's incredibly classic. It has all the hallmark design cues of classic Breguet with that coinage case. Those kind of like long angular lugs that actually really work nicely on that 36 mil case.
Edge.
Yeah, it's just
two different textures on the dial, blue Breguet hands. It's everything. That's where I would go. Okay,
that's a good one. Where to next? I guess
You pulled this.
I did. I mean, so I was just looking through drawers trying to see something interesting, and I almost feel like we haven't really talked about a Monaco in a long time. We years ago when Hoyer was super hot, we had a few of them, some super cool ones actually.
Do you remember that one? It was like full kit. It
We
had
bought
the
that.
hang tag
Remember,
and
we bought
everything.
that from I think the daughter of the original owner or
Something
whatever.
like that.
Super cool. But anyway, I mean, Monaco's vintage ones, especially, and vintage Hoyer in general, obviously went completely bananas like 5 years ago, and then came crashing down to earth.
Unfortunate market events around that.
Yeah, the Phillips auction.
There was a Phillips auction that was not the best pieces they could have offered for that.
Right.
And the market just lost a lot of steam. And it's a shame because there's a lot of cool history here. And the Monaco is one of those watches that has a lot of history as being, I think it was 69, right? Same as the El Primero. So it was like when the first automatic chronographs hit the ground running. And unfortunately, the Monaco movement wasn't quite as good as the Zenith, so it didn't quite hang around as long because they were doing a micro rotor within the movement, didn't wind as well. Anyway,
so this one we have listed for $7,500. This is a special edition, that all blacked out version. That
it's really slick.
It is, and it pays tribute to the iconic. I can't remember the nickname is now, but of that 70s Monaco that was also all blacked out, black PVD case.
Wait a minute, there's one of these from the 70s?
Yeah.
That's like this?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was just them being cool.
No. Here, I'll pull it up right now. It's very, very cool, actually.
So you see, you've got a regular full rotor on this, which will wind this watch. Dark Lord.
Yeah,
I like
thank
it,
you.
Spiros.
No, Spiros, you're right. It's called the Dark Lord.
I thought he was just calling it that. I was like, that's awesome.
No, you're right. I had the Lord Vader in my head, but no, you're right. It's the Dark Lord, and yes, very, very cool.
That's so cool. I actually didn't know that this was based on a historical watch.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
I like this even more now.
I mean, for $7,500, like that's so much heritage and so much history and just like so much visual joy.
And for a case that's really chunky, like it's a blocky case because that's what it is. It really sits well on the wrist.
It does.
Like I could wear this, and it would go into the cuff.
It's too big for me, unfortunately.
It's not bad.
But it is very cool, actually.
That is super cool. The Dark Lord. I'm gonna have to look that up. I wonder how. Like what the value is of the real ones on the secondary. They must be PVD though.
They are PVD.
All look like
they're steel PVD and they look like garbage.
Yeah. But then you could do the Lagerfeld look, but with a Monaco.
With it all just like destroyed.
With a destroyed PVD Monaco.
Let's see if anybody has.
Cool. While you're looking that up, let's talk about, and this is, if we're going to talk black watches, let's talk about the first ceramic cased watch that was ever made.
There you go.
This probably needs no introduction, but this is the IWC 3705. This was the first watch to be made in a ceramic case. This was 1997 or 98, something like that.
That was before that. Let me look.
I think it's late 90s.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. The steel version of this is the 3706. They represent one of the biggest values on the secondary market because they can be had for very, very small money. And you're getting a really good IWC with a classic 7750 that is just an absolute rock star in terms of like a nice sport watch that's not your usual suspects.
And this, the 3705, so it's rare, and part of the reason why it is so rare is because IWC was spending so much money making these cases that they were essentially losing money on every single piece that they sold.
They did that more than once.
Yeah, they did.
They have a really bad track record of that because those Ocean 2000, the first like Porsche design watch, which is super cool. There's a couple folks who like champion those on Instagram. Those are the same thing. The R&D cost on those was massive.
Yeah.
Did I put enough power? Yeah, I did for that to run. This example is not yet on the site, but when this guy goes live, this is really something remarkable.
I mean, this one is complete original set with the original sales receipt from Germany in 1998.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
See, it was the end of the 90s.
You're right.
It was the end of the 90s.
I don't know why I had early 90s in my head, but
the original tritium dial and hands. This is even the original strap.
Really?
Like I don't think you can get these squared off ends of the strap on that anymore. Because IWC doesn't make those anymore, that style.
The guy never even. I mean, it looks like the tang has never even been through the holes in the strap.
It's pretty remarkable.
This is crazy.
And I know the gentleman we got it from, he was wearing it on other straps, so
Yeah.
he didn't really wear it on that strap either.
Wow.
But it's pretty
German
awesome.
calendar, yeah, pretty special. That's
German
that's
and
amazing.
English. I think it is both.
Really?
You can pick, which is nice.
Okay.
But for me, again, chronograph value on this one is tough.
Yeah.
Is this a value proposition?
No.
Because it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the other ceramic watches, like especially if you look at them at retail. But when you get to the secondary market, the values on these are strong now.
They are. I was going to say. I think you would be. I don't think you can call that a value per se. I think maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago you could when they were still flying under the radar a little bit. But I think they're kind of a collector's darling at this point, and it's not. It's moved beyond just IWC fans.
Yeah.
And it's become more well known, and it's and rightfully so. Like it's actually an important watch to have the first ceramic cased piece that was actually serialized and produced. So yeah, cool piece.
Yeah. I feel like I want to change gears.
Me too. I mean, I was going to look and see other questions. So JRF 1975 last week asked us, what's better, Mac 12 or Lagavulin? And that's easy. It's Lagavulin.
That's very easy.
Yeah.
The smokier, the better.
Yeah,
Although I'd
correct.
actually say Lefroy.
No, Lagavulin's better than Lefroy.
I would go for the Lefroy 10.
No, because Lefroy. So Lefroy is amazing, but I'm never picking that over Lagavulin. Lefroy,
Really?
No,
I would.
No. I open a bottle of Lefroy in my house, and my wife could be like 2 floors away or in the backyard, and she yells at me for she could smell it.
That to me, that's a bonus. That's even above and beyond.
Well, see, I love my wife, so I just like being around her, so that's fine. Whatever, Rob. It's fine. We don't need to talk about your relationship right now. It's okay.
Smoky Scotch for the win. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, I would say go with one of these two. Which one would you like to talk about next?
This is quick, right?
Sure.
Why don't we do that?
All right, so Corey Cavallari asked us, where are we both taking our personal collections? And I think, like we've talked about, like working here, we get to see a ton of different stuff that we're, that we think we love, that we want to try out, we want to check out, whatever. But there's kind of always, I feel like we always, it changes a lot, but we always have that piece that we're kind of like toying with and contemplating. So go ahead. What do you think about?
So I have a recent addition that I happen to be wearing today, coincidentally enough. Anybody who has watched this more than once knows that I have always appreciated Panerai. When I first got into watches, before I knew anything, I was just looking at stuff online and looking at what I liked, right? I didn't think about the history of the manufacturers. I didn't think about the movement inside it. I didn't think about all that stuff. I was just like looking at stuff and like, oh, that's really cool. That's not for me, whatever. And I was drawn to these guys from the very beginning. As soon as somebody had mentioned the brand and I went online and I discovered them, I was like, this is it. And this is like your lock stock, super basic radio mirror, 45 millimeters. I believe it's a 3-day movement in this. It's one of the more modern ones. But I've been wanting to add one of these for a really long time. I love the style. I love it. Do I have nicer watches? I'm very fortunate to say yes, I do, but I wear this and it makes me smile.
You have talked about adding a Panerai to your collection for as long as I've known you, and thank God you finally did, so you can shut up about it.
I never will. I never will, because for me, I think just where it comes from, like the history of it, the reason they made it the way they did to make it super big, super legible. The original ones were very radioactive,
you like
right?
cosplaying as an Italian frogman. I get it, Robert. I get it.
No,
I get
not
it.
at all. None of my watches ever see water. But it's just, to me, it's cool, it's fun, and it's polarizing, right? People are like, oh, that's terrible. It's so big. It's so garish. And guess what? I don't care.
Yeah, no, that one's good though.
I mean, I really like it.
Like you said, the design is so classic and it's so pure, and especially this one. What is this? This is a Pam what again?
This is a 753.
Okay, that means
so
nothing
this
to me,
is
cool.
it's a base style radio mirror. It's got the logo at 6 o'clock, which you can't see because of the time, but it's just a base style radio mirror. So I like that.
Nice.
Adam's going to step in the frame and adjust the camera, but we're going to keep talking.
Oh, he might even get it without.
There we go.
There he is. Oh.
Couldn't make it. Couldn't make it.
I just want to call out somebody joined, and their screen name is Hot Tub Weirdo, and I like Applause, sir. That's an amazing
We
name.
should have a prize
ma'am,
for
yeah.
the best screen
The,
name that
the
pops
best name.
on.
Hot Tub Weirdo wins right now.
That wins for
one,
tonight.
That one's amazing.
So.
Okay, so my collection, I'm a well-established like Cartier fanatic.
I was going to say, how many more Cartiers can you add, Justin?
Well, the limit does not exist, Robert. There are always more. So there are a few very very specific Cartiers that I am looking for that I would love to add that someday I hope I will find. But I might as well talk about this. That's on my wrist because why not? So I have a thing for non-round watches. I really like. I have my AP that I love.
Cushion shape.
Not cushion shaped. Not cushion shaped, Robert. I have my Royal Oak, which I love. My cloche, which is very special. My Baignoire again, which long ovoid shape. So the only round watch that I have is an Explorer Rolex 1016.
You had that TV shaped.
What
was that called?
That was a Tank on Dole Cartier.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was sick too. So that was incredible. But I've always loved the Longa Cabaret. I don't have anything in this, kind of reverso, rectangular case shape. And this is, I love Longa movements. I've talked about before, loving the datograph and just staring at that movement. And this is very impressive for another reason to me. This is a rectangular movement. Yeah, go ahead and show that off. So Longa developed the movement specifically for the Cabaret. They had no other watches that this movement was going to go into, but they spent the money and they did it anyways. So yeah. I love whenever any company, whether it's watches or doesn't even matter, when they design something specific for a specific use case. So I don't know, I just find this particular piece very impressive. I love the rose gold. I love the moon. You get and
it was the only configuration they did for this,
right.
is the rose gold with the silver dial.
Right.
If you go for the time-only version, there's a couple different metals and a couple different dials.
Right.
But if you want the moon, this is it. And to me, that's wild.
And honestly, usually I don't necessarily care about complications, but the time-only one with the big date, it really loses something in my opinion.
Yeah,
visually.
but not the black one. Not the rose gold with the black dial.
We just had that. We had that recently, and I thought, and honestly, when that came in, I was like, oh man, it's here. And then I put it on, and it just didn't do it for me. Whereas this, for whatever reason, with that moon phase, it's really special. So
can I just say though, the way they executed this case, this case, Longa is very homogeneous when you get to their round watches. So for instance, keep it there, David. Keep it there. We brought a big boy with us because I think this is one of the sickest Longas that we have in the store right now. This is a Datograph Perpetual. And even when you get to this level, when you're talking about Longa at that grand complication level, it's a Longa case.
Right.
It's pretty standard. It's the same lugs. It's the same bezel. It's, the proportions change, but it's a, don't want to sidetrack with that. But it's a standard Longa case. And all of their watches are like that. You get to the Cabaret, and it's
totally different.
Where did this come from?
Right.
Where did this come from? You've got, I guess they've kept their lugs and the little flare on the side there, which is really nice.
It's very Art Deco.
But it's,
very
it's
cool.
so different.
And obviously, the roots lie in the arcade. That original model from 1994,
which was like a ladies' watch.
Which was tiny. It was tiny.
It's tiny.
Yeah, we had one recently, and it was the first one I ever saw, and it did not. It just didn't have the same Longa vibe and presence that this does. So
look at that.
It's just such a cool piece.
Good.
So cool. So I don't know. Maybe this is where my collection's going next. We'll see. I don't know.
I think it'd be so cool for you because it would be something so completely different.
Right. Right. And I love Longa, and I've always wanted to have a Longa in my collection, and I don't think I'm gonna have a datograph anytime soon. It's just I'd have to really change a lot of things and consolidate. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So this potentially could be where my collection goes next. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted.
There you go.
All right.
I think you should do it.
Next up.
What are friends for if not to enable each other?
I mean, that's generally what we do. All right. Why don't we go? So someone mentioned that next week
Rolex
is Valentine's
Cellini
Day.
Prince.
Sorry,
Andres. I didn't mean to go over you.
Yes. Doesn't do it for me. I think actually that's a really good value when it comes to interesting, fairly unknown, odd-shaped pieces.
And we're talking about, I'm guessing you're talking about the modern ones. Because there are vintage ones as well that they were based on, but the modern ones are really well appointed, really nice watches. I think Rolex would have had more commercial success with those if they didn't say Rolex on the dial, because it's just not what people want from
agreed. White watched.
I think it's this one.
Oh, probably.
I think it's this guy here. Go to my wrist cam.
Platinum Yayo. I mean, I don't know. Maybe maybe Platinum Yayo here, Rob. It could be that one.
This is white.
If
you're
looking for a watch to do some yayo in Miami, here you go.
That'll do it. But I think he means this one.
Yeah.
I think he's like, what is that man behind the curtain? This one we had got for a couple reasons, because it is a chronograph, and it also represents, in my opinion, tremendous value from Patek.
Agreed.
This is a 5270 in
First
white
series.
gold. The first series.
Yep.
So after the 5970 was discontinued, this was Patek's first response to that watch. They got rid of the concentric dials at 3 and 9, and instead added these little windows here at the bottom. So you have a leap year window here. I'm going to try to get closer. You have a leap year window here, and then you have a day-night indicator here, which is nice when you're setting it so that you know you don't break it. This watch, to me, is so good. I mean, it's a 41, I think, but it wears absolutely perfectly. It has a really interesting case with a lot of nice kind of details. You have that scoopy bezel again, which I think is really great. You have these charcoal hands and markers. Against the dial, you can't see it, but it has a beautiful brushed finish on it. Not dissimilar to the regulator, the 5235 and the 5236. It kind of lives in that thing. You get Patek's in-house movement now with this, so this is no longer Lamania based. Still a column wheel chronograph. The first Patek that I know of that hacked. So many people cared about that. I'm not sure why. I've never cared. Once again, I have bought yet another watch without a seconds hand. So that shows you my opinion on accuracy. But yeah, so this is both a killer chronograph and an absolute killer value, because these are about $100K less than they were brand new. Spiros, we could do a whole show on that, I think.
That actually, yeah, no, we easily could. I wish we had brought a 5970 as well. So it's funny, I was actually speaking to a client today, and we were talking about 5270s versus 5970s, and what I was saying was 5970 is like when someone says, think of a Patek, imagine a Patek, like the image in my brain, the image that my head comes up with is a 5970. That's just like, I don't know why, it's such a distinctive, iconic Patek design.
I would say that that's Patek's signature complication.
Well, it is
the perpetual counter chronograph.
Right.
Do you guys agree? If I say Patek Philippe, what comes to your mind first? Is it Nautilus? Is it Aquanaut?
Yeah,
what is it?
Actually,
Put it in. Put it in the chat.
Yeah. But no, I mean that.
So which way do you go?
I'm going 5970
You're
all
going
the way
59?
every day. Yeah. I mean, I love the 5270. I think it's, like you said, it's an incredible value for what it is, and it's a Patek Grand Comp that you could easily wear every day. You know, whether you're dressing in a suit every day or you're wearing a t-shirt and shorts, like that watch goes with absolutely everything. That, I think somebody asked us about a one-watch collection. You could easily make a one-watch collection out of a 59 or a 5270.
And if you had a couple different straps, there you go. All your bases are covered.
5970, yeah.
He pulled one. All right, we got one. Of course, he goes right for the top, because that's how we do it here. So I saw our good friend at Weiss and Goldring said Calatrava. I might actually be with you there, where I would say Calatrava as well.
Oh, interesting.
Just because that's, I don't know. It's like, I think of Patek, I think of those classic watches. And then
so yeah,
he said,
go to the overhead,
he
David.
said Calatrava, and then here we go. 52 versus 59.
59. I mean, again, I skew towards
even in
smaller
this case,
pieces.
with the 5970 being the platinum black dial, which is a killer combination for that. I would rather wear this.
Really?
I would rather wear this watch. It's really wild.
Price no option.
Price no option.
Really?
I'd wear this one.
Just
I would.
you think it's more visually appealing, or why?
I'd rather have a colored metal. Like, show me this in the rose or the yellow, and I would be more into that. Although, of course, my favorite, like the 5270 rose or yellow. My personal favorite, I would go 3970. Not to be contrarian, but just because for me that's the size.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I think the 3970 with the not only the size but also the proportion is the way to go.
Agreed. Okay, whatever.
That was a real big digression. I don't remember where we were before
also,
that.
you now have Darth Vader behind you, but that's okay. Okay, so
should he wear this? For you? No? He said no.
So someone else mentioned, obviously, that next week is Valentine's Day. What about some ladies' watches? So what about some ladies' watches? We grabbed some wild stuff, actually. It's funny.
Ooh, 3970. 3970 for sure.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
No.
And then 5270 Rose. Yeah. 5270 G011, that's, I don't remember. There's too many white golds. I can't remember if that's a silver dial or a blue dial.
I don't remember either.
Because they've done...
5270G blue dial is the best 5270
But there's two
by far.
blue dials, because there's a blue dial with chin, blue dial no chin. There's this silver, then there's a silver with chin and a silver without chin.
014 is blue, I thought so. The chin, I could care less. I can have it, you can take it, leave it, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
to me, it's not a deal breaker.
The 5270G with the blue dial is an absolute stunner. That is the best one by far. I want to see what the 011 is, though, because I don't know. 011 is interesting. Not found.
Maybe we've never had it.
I don't know. I'll look up over here. Let's see what it is.
Cool. All right. Well,
all right, ladies watches. Ladies watches.
Let me show you some ladies watches. 5270p salmon dial. I feel like that's bringing a knife to a gunfight kind of thing at that point, because like that platinum is so killer and really good. So ladies watches we've got dispersed throughout. So let's start with, we grabbed a Patek. We've got a Blancpain, we've got a Cartier. I'm going to bring some of these over to my side here.
Sure.
And then we have a crazy Jaeger.
Ridiculous JLC.
Ridiculous.
And your favorite for the lady Panerai fans in your life.
Yes. It wouldn't be a show if I didn't have
multiple Panerais
at least one Panerai on the table. We're going to make that a rule.
Oh my God.
That's going to be, if we ever get big enough where people start playing.
Can we have a rider?
Games, that'll be it. It'll be every time Rob says Panerai or anything thereof, we got to do it. So this is a lovely ladies Nautilus. I actually really like the dial on this one. I like how it's not, a lot of ladies watches get critiques for like let's just add a bunch of diamonds and call it a ladies watch.
Right.
And this doesn't do that. This keeps a very classic Nautilus case and silhouette. And then it just changes the dial a little bit to give it a different feel, where the stripes are kind of contained to the middle. You have two different textures and finishes. You have nice big bold markers and hands. I think it looks great.
You'll notice that it is ticking.
Hey. It is ticking. It is a quartz movement, and we could debate this, till Judgment Day and trumpets sound. But there are many women who do not want to be bothered with mechanical watches. It sounds like heresy to us, but my wife is one of them.
My wife never sets any of the watches that she wears.
Yeah, my wife would have no time for winding and setting an automatic watch. So this actually would appeal to her.
Yeah.
On a greater level than the mechanical ones. Dial kinds of looks like the new Hermes. Interesting.
New Hermes.
Interesting for
the
the watch collector.
Maybe?
But this is really killer. It is on the smaller side. There are the 7118 is a bigger ladies Nautilus. Yeah, the only one we have with there is with diamonds.
I actually could easily wear.
You could. I didn't want to bring everything with diamonds.
True.
But Justin would be more this way.
That's too small for me, but I would be.
No, I mean like in terms of taste.
Yeah.
This is also a quartz, but you don't know it because there's no secondhand.
Yep,
and I think they did that on purpose. This is the new Santos Dumont in the smaller size for ladies with a quartz movement. We've got a beautiful gray strap on this that I think was killer. They did the same on the men's, And
Yes.
you could have a lovely his and hers with this, because then you would literally almost have the same exact watch. Because the men's size is really just bigger.
Yeah, it's literally
this one.
shot for shot the exact same watch, just the dimensions are bigger. That's it.
And again, I think that's the way you should do ladies'
Agreed,
watches.
agreed.
Is you should just make either a mid-size or a smaller version. Patek's doing that now too.
I mean, I think
they don't make. They don't call them ladies anymore.
well,
they call them mid-size.
we've talked exactly. I was gonna say we've talked about this where a lot of the brands now are moving away from specific ladies collections and just creating mid-size pieces. And who cares? Whoever wants to wear it can wear it. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about. We have plenty of female clients who, will walk in with a Daytona on, or something else that normally you would think is too large, or it's going to look oversized, but it looks awesome. Like wear whatever's comfortable, and who cares who.
Well, yeah, of course.
For.
So Dive Watch Collector just said best Patek ladies watch by far is the round 24. I actually would argue with you and say I think the square 24 was better.
Really?
I do.
Oh,
I
God,
think
no.
the
No.
square 24 was the better watch.
That bracelet was awful.
No, it wasn't.
Yes,
it
it
was
was.
perfect for
No.
a lady though, and you got to wear it a little bit loose, almost like a bangle. Like I
have this
I'd
image.
rather
I have
that
an image
look.
of like a 75-year-old woman in Palm Beach right now.
No way.
Yes, no.
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 9.
No.
You're wrong. You're wrong. That's okay.
I love that we're telling
I-
women what they should like, but whatever. it's
Well,
fine.
there's precedent for that. It's unfortunate, but no.
Show off your Panerai, would you? God. So we can move
Before we
on.
get canceled.
So we can move on. Yeah, no.
So this, I think, is actually a 38 millimeter. So this, right? This is not small.
What number is it? Let me pull it up. I think it.
51533. I agree with you, David. I think this dial is killer. It's like a green ombre, but it
Yeah.
goes top to bottom.
It is 38.
My young and beautiful wife has a rose square 24 because she knows what's up. I agree 100%. I like
You
either in
just
steel or
said
rose.
that this. Oh, sorry.
Square.
All
He said
right,
square.
All right.
He said square.
Okay.
You
all
can
right.
agree with me. It's all right. It won't kill
I
you.
don't want to.
What size is this?
That's 38.
Told you. Look at that. It's 38. Like I could wear that. It's super slim. It's actually really slick. And
It actually. And
Panerai-
honestly, the bracelets usually suck, but that one, like, that's the
Panerai
right size.
fixed this bracelet.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of the old, sorry camera, you're not liking me. If you're thinking of the old Panerai bracelets that were like chunky monkey and really not good, that is not this bracelet. This is super comfortable. It's really good. They just fixed it. It's really great. The finish is nice. I'm all about this watch in every way.
It is actually very cool. It's
It's
fun.
so slim.
It's fun to see Panerai of
It is
all
automatic.
companies. Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to see Panerai doing something like this, not taking themselves too seriously. I don't know. I think it's a great piece. Like that.
But I like how it still retains the heritage. Like this is still.
No, you're right.
This is still a
completely-
Panerai.
yeah.
Like it
It's a
doesn't feel like something very different.
It's
Some
a
brands, I
sandwich
think,
dial.
when
All
they
they
do it
did,
that
all
way.
they did was they put an interesting color on
Some
the dial.
brands do this.
They put well,
Heyo. This is an interesting one, right? Because this is all black ceramic.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is black ceramic from head to toe, except for the case back, of course, because the screw
do
down
that, yeah.
ceramic backs don't work so well. And then not only is it all ceramic, but it's blitzed out with baguettes and pave.
Crazy.
Oh,
Peanut gallery today.
This
Damn.
is a Jaeger. This is a Jaeger from the old school master compressor. I don't think they make these anymore.
No,
I
they
think the
don't. That's out
compressors
of
are kind of
production.
gone. There's a couple
Yep.
of watches that still have these funky monkey crown guards, but for the most part, the compressors are RIP.
Which I'm trying to think of which ones still have that.
Yeah, there's a couple of
they
chronos
still
that
in
we've seen that are
production? Okay.
somewhat modern. So this is a master compressor for the ladies. Justin and I were talking before the show that the dial reminds us of those inserts that you used to put into a 45 to make it play properly on your record
You know what it
player.
also reminds me
It
of,
does
too, all
have
of
the
a sudden?
Chanel vibes. I can't argue with Josh
It's like
there.
the Westworld logo. Like, geez.
I don't remember what
No,
that
they don't.
looked like.
They don't
I
make
don't
it.
remember.
George, they don't
But-
make that anymore. Shocking, I know.
This is wild.
It
And
is
this,
crazy.
you could make a good value proposition for this because the retail on this was
So
monster.
retail was $55K.
Woo!
I mean, but you think
But-
about it. Look at how many diamonds are on that bezel.
Baguettes are not cheap.
No.
Right?
There's
These
a lot
little
of carat
round
weight
pave
there.
guys here, they're throwaways. But these bags around here, this is a lot of watch.
Rob, you just have pave for days. At
This
home,
is a
don't
lot of
you?
watch,
Just-
and this is automatic. This is not a
Yes, it
quartz.
is.
So like
It
this is a real watch. I'm kind of surprised we still have it.
I am too, actually.
I think this is very cool.
As much flack as we give this, like it is actually very interesting.
And it's well done.
Different.
The,
It is well
the
done.
diamond,
It
the
is.
quality of the stones is really high. Everything is super uniform. It's not like a as they like to call them on a certain street in New York, it's not custom diamond bezel, which usually means aftermarket and poor quality.
Yeah.
This is a legit factory set diamond watch, and there's something to that.
Yeah.
And then we have it for the traditional. This is the hyper traditional now. Tiny Blancpain. This must be what, 30 millimeters,
It
and
might be 28.
it ain't quartz, people.
I know. Look at that movement. Honestly,
It
like
ain't
that's
quartz.
the whole reason why we grabbed this watch. It's pretty
Blancpain
impressive.
Pinky promised that they would never make a quartz watch for as long as that company existed.
Well, yeah.
My
I was gonna say
bear claws are too big. to hold
Bivet
this
said
watch.
that, and I think he might be regretting it now because he wants to get in on that old moon swatch money. But
Well, no, because they did the System 51 when
That's
they
true,
did
that's
it,
true, that's true.
right? They did it that way. But not only do you get automatic, but you also get a date. There's a date
It's
there.
wild.
You've got to have
28
hella good
millimeters.
eyes to read that. But 28 millimeters, automatic, pointer date, super classy. You still get like the 2-tier stepped bezel that you get on the old school Le Mans and things. Killer. Hell of a display back,
34.50.
man.
I know, like it's so wild to think that.
Wait a minute, $3,450?
$3,450.
It's nothing.
I
It's
know.
free.
For an
Somebody buy this and send it to your wife.
For an automatic. Buy it and send it to anybody, even if you're not married to them. Just
Or your
send
daughter.
Send it to some woman somewhere, anywhere.
Your
I mean,
newborn child.
for real, like
lovely.
automatic Blancpain in 28 millimeters with a display back. It's
killer.
unbelievable.
It's killer.
Such
That
a
was the
great
ladies' watch roundup.
Yeah, that was our lightning round of ladies' watches.
That was our roundup. All right, I'm going to go real fast through one.
Okay, what do you wanna
Somebody
do?
said, are we going to see the white dial Speedmaster that was on Daniel Craig's
Daniel
wrist?
Craig's wrist, yeah.
I have no idea what watch that was because
No
I
one does.
missed that. Well, no, I
Well,
just
they-
completely missed it.
Oh, you didn't even see the photos.
Looks like a birthmark on your wrist. Well, it's not meant for me, so that's okay.
That's hilarious.
That's okay. I'm not the target customer. So I have no idea what that watch is, so I don't know if we'll ever see it. But that's not stopping you from buying a white dial Speedmaster.
Yeah.
I wanted, let's go for the big top down. I wanted to pull out the Alaska project, but we sold it, so it's gone. So instead, I grabbed. Do you want to help?
Sure,
Actually
David.
grab-
Did you go over top down?
Do we have
Or
another one?
The
No,
macro?
this one.
Oh, that
This
one.
one, this one.
Yeah, sure.
We've got
Chronoscope.
the Chronoscope,
Yep.
which is really nice. This actually is super cool. A lot of people are like, well, it's not a Speedmaster because it doesn't look like a Speedmaster. And it kind of doesn't, but I think it's a great
think it's
watch in
great.
its own right. And a lot of people say that about this too, which is...
I think there's more of an argument for. Why don't we go to the other
I
camera?
can't get it
Oh,
on this
gosh,
one.
Go to the
I
other
wanted
camera.
to try and get everything in
That's
there.
okay, here.
We're working on it, folks.
The Chronoscope looks like way more of a traditional Speedmaster than that
This
does.
is the white side of the moon.
Yeah.
And this is, yeah.
Once again, if you are going to Miami to club and do blow, like, here you go. Here you go.
Hey, this is supposed to be family friendly. You're going to give us an explicit rating. But I mean, you got to admit, it's pretty darn cool
It
to
is,
do
actually.
white ceramic case, white dial, white strap, the whole thing. You even get a white ceramic.
Is that some self-tanner on that strap?
You get a display back. You get a coaxial movement. It's really good. It's really, really good. So you can get that. You could go Chronoscope, which to me is really killer. I like this version better than the blue. I
do
think
too.
this is really, really nice.
That one's
and
really
then there was one more.
I grabbed the Tintin. That was what white dial did we?
Where did it go?
Wait, a white dial? What other
Oh
one?
yeah,
Oh, we have the white gold as well.
we have Senor Snoopy, which everybody knows and loves. That's a great one. And then we also brought, which is really awfully similar, the white gold on a strap. This is a rare one. Very
Cannabis.
few of these were made.
Yep.
I think this is pre-cannabis, isn't it? Or is this? No, this is
This
the
is
cannabis.
cannabis,
This
yeah.
is, we had, oh, I know what we had that I'm thinking of. I was thinking of the white dial moon phase
Oh,
with
yes.
the
Was that
with
white
the
gold or
white gold.
platinum?
That was super rare.
Okay.
But these are two brilliant white dial Speedmasters as well. So
yeah, if you want one, there
you
are
don't
plenty
have to
of, there
wait.
are plenty of
we
options.
we have a lot of good white dial Speedmasters. Don't wait.
We should wrap up with the two that George specifically requested to see. So we had.
He has hung on for the whole feat.
I know. So we had. So
Should
George
be
asked
rewarded.
to see the Ferrier Sport Auto. So Rob, go ahead and grab this guy. And if you want the Parmigiani, the Tonda Skeleton. So both like very, very interesting pieces. Totally different in my opinion, but I guess they're both independents. I really like this Sport Auto.
I was going to say, why don't you talk about this one? Because I know that you're a big fan of this watch.
I think we talked about it last week. It's just, so Ferrier did a few years ago, they did the Tourbillon version, which was a lot larger. The case was larger, thicker, and it was very limited. I think it was like 16 pieces or something like that.
If I'm correct, that was not titanium.
Was not titanium. No, you're right.
That was steel, right?
You're right.
Because this,
But
just holding this, I'm like, man alive,
it's
that's
incredibly
lightweight.
Incredibly
Holy
light.
cow.
But that it was an interesting new design for Ferrier. You know, kind of a sport-looking watch. So this, I want to say this came out, was it last year? It was either last year or 2 years ago now. Time flies.
I think it might be 2 years.
Maybe 2 years, geez. But so, you know, introduce this piece, which is a smaller, slightly smaller case size in full titanium. I'm going to pull up these actual dimensions.
It is a really nice bracelet.
The bracelet is awesome, and it wears so nicely.
The micro rotor movement's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic Ferrier micro rotor with the dry escapement, which,
It looks so different, though. Is it just because of the finishing?
It has like an anthracite finishing on the plates. Oh, what the heck is going on?
Because it looks really different than the standard movement in the galets. And do galets have a date?
Galets do, don't they? I don't know. Now that you asked,
I don't think so. I don't think galets have a date. This has a date. I do like the crosshair. That's very like 70s, late 60s into the 70s. I think that's super cool.
Yeah,
the hands are cool.
The blue is kind of a unique hue. It doesn't really come through in the camera all that well, but it's not. It's a little bit brighter than a lot of other blues that you'll see, and then you have that kind of greenish tinted lume. So
yeah,
super interesting piece. So this one's 47.5. The size on it is 41.5. But it honestly wears like a much smaller piece than that. Go for it on that guy now, Rob.
So now we have Parmigiani, Tonda, PF, Skeleton in full rose gold bracelet. Dive watch collector. It's hard to see on the Instagram, but the dial, how it drops to the date is insanely cool. Are you talking about?
You're right. So actually, that's a very good point. So
look at that.
The dial, you can see the outline there. And that is, there you go. You can kind of tell.
It's
actually
like a skateboard
slopes.
ramp.
It is literally like a slope, weird sloped plane kind of in there. You're right. It's like a ramp basically down to the date. No idea why they did that. No idea how they did it. But
but I love that they did.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
That is sick.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I had no idea. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
See, I learned something new. I learned something new.
All right, Tonda.
All right, Tonda, PF, full gold, skeleton. These are very cool because the AP ones are so unattainable. Like, you know, I couldn't even tell you the last time we saw an AP Royal Oak skeleton, let alone, you know, what price they're at these days. This is super slick. It's super well done. It has that same kind of level of thinness that you would get from like a 202 or a 5711. Yep. Really nice, like gunmetal gray or ruthenium kind of finish on the dial there. Super well appointed.
This is an interesting one because Parmigiani doesn't normally do it for me, and especially the Tonda with the bracelet in this, you know, I don't know what it is about it, but in steel, it just doesn't speak to me. This in rose gold is stunning. It's absolutely
it's really different, isn't it? Because it's not a watch that I would usually get that excited about either, just because integrated bracelet thing's not really my jam, but like,
I mean, that is my jam.
This
but it
feels really good on the wrist. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really nice. And interestingly, so this I think retail is over 100. I think it's like 102, 105, something like that. You know, we have it listed for 74.5, so kind of a crazy.
So there's your value.
Crazy value.
That's decent value there.
If you can call a six-figure rose gold Parmigiani skeleton a value, like, I mean, amazing piece. Really, really, really beautiful.
Super slick. Yeah. Really well executed. Even just the delicateness of the hands and stuff over the dial. Like, skeleton watches are often problematic for me because like they're illegible or they're too busy or something. And I feel like with this watch, even though it is very busy, it's super legible, but at the same time, it doesn't feel cluttered.
For me, with skeletons, I agree. They have to be just right, and oftentimes they're either, like you're saying, too busy, or they're too see-through.
Go
like
back
say,
one more time.
like
Go
say
back
the
one more time.
cloche skeleton, where all you end up just looking at your wrist
I
hair
was
as,
just
as,
about
as
to
opposed
say,
to the actual.
This is not like how many hairs.
That's okay. We have to. We're wrapping
All
it
right,
up anyway.
we're gonna wrap it up. You can't see the wrist through the through the watch, which is
important.
Really good.
I don't want to see my hair, my wrist hair.
It's and so it's nice to wear. Because the ones that have too much space are kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, and this one is busy, but not in a distracting way.
Routine.
Yeah, exactly.
But this one, you're good. You're okay. It doesn't matter.
So somehow it's already 6 o'clock. We didn't.
That went fast.
Again, we didn't get through like 3/4, half of these questions. So what we'll do is we have a lot of fun doing the question ones. You know, the Ask Us Anything. So maybe
once a month or something?
I was gonna say maybe we'll do it like once a month. We'll just kind of collect questions for several weeks, and then we'll just blow through a whole bunch of them.
But we're always watching the chat too. So if
True.
whatever topic we're on for that given week, if you guys have things you want to know, we're looking at that chat and we're waiting for
we appreciate you guys interacting. We
Absolutely.
really enjoy getting to talk to you guys. So thanks for joining. We have a lot of fun with this.
We do.
We'll be back next week. So
cheers.
See you guys later. Have a good week.